Hi, I'm Teresa Greene, the Collections Manager at the Vermont Historical Society, and I am here with a fabulous butter mold. Butter molds were used to mold butter into loaf shapes with carved decorations on the top. This was used not just for fun prettiness, but to brand the butter that came from your farm. Different farms made different quality butter, and if your butter was particularly good, you wanted to make sure that you got the credit for it and you got the return customers. So to do that, you would go to a butter mold carver or another woodworker and get a carved butter mold. A lot of times they have initials or the name of your farm, and a lot of other times they're just decorative. And this is one that is decorative. It was made by John Han Varnum of Peachum, Vermont. He was such a prolific butter mold carver, that he listed butter mold maker as his profession in the census. It was the only job that was making his entire living. And his carvings are extremely intricate, and he carved everything from your business names to sheaves of wheat. That was a common one he did. And one of the ways that collectors identify his butter molds are from these deeply incised borders. This particular one, these would have been screwed in, you can see, on here, so they wouldn't come out during the period. The reason that we have taken the screws out is because for sanitary reasons, when these were in use, farmers would store them in buckets of cold salt water. This kept the wood expanded so you weren't getting gaps in the corners, but it also kept the mold cold so that your butter wouldn't melt as you're squishing it in. And it also was thought to kill all of the germs left over. So this ultimately would give you a butter loaf that was easy to cut into 4 even pieces. And think about it kind of like a Hershey's chocolate bar, where it's molded in the rectangles and you can break off your little individual sections. The way that it works is it's one single loaf mold. You would squish in your room temperature butter. And then for this particular one, I'm not going to do it because we unscrewed everything. You flip it over, and then you can push the top out, and it pushes the whole butter loaf out of the mold. And we have some great experimental archaeology that we're going to try for the very first time. I have brought in a butter mold from my personal collection, and we have soaked it in cold water and prepped it, and I have been warming up this butter in my pocket that I just always keep there. And we are going to try to mold some butter. All right, so this is a butter mold that I brought in from home. I got it in Grackles and Berry, actually, and it was made in Nashua, New Hampshire. I just want to reiterate that this is not something that we ever do with collections objects. Objects that are in our permanent collection are treated in a way that helps preserve them. Doing this is a great way to enjoy your own antiques, but is not best practice for museum antiques. All right, so we have some butter paddles in the collection that would have been used to smush butter down into crocks. You wouldn't be buying from farmers who squish it down in their hands, or at least you wouldn't be rebuying it after learning that that's how they squish it in. All right, so we've got the mold all filled. This mold works a little bit different from the collections one that I showed you, in that instead of popping the carved part out the bottom, this one just unclasps on 2 sides. So I'm gonna flip it over and open it up, and we're gonna see how our mold came out. So it did stick a little, so next time I'm probably gonna soak it a little bit more. Look at that! So lessons that I've learned. Get it a little bit wetter so it doesn't stick quite as much, and a little bit warmer butter would have been easier to stick in. There's a little crack. but it actually took the mold surprisingly well. Aside from the cracks that were user errors, it pretty much matches the detail of the mold. So I think that you could have expected the John Varnum molded butter to really be intricate. For more info on other objects from our collection, you can follow us on social media or visit our website at vermonthistory.org.